Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and we got the Kizer Deviant, ladies and gentlemen. And later on in the video, we're going to show how to patina this copper into a beautiful blue-green color. But first, let's just get right into this knife because there is a couple different versions of this. Now, I bought this one, and I chose this model because I wanted the copper and the green micarta. It just looks so good together. But they do have another option available. Now, I will link this below if you want to buy it. I will also link Mojave Outdoors below, which I have a 10% discount code for if you want to use that. Now, this one, not this one, they come in M390, stone washed with a satin flat. Now, mine, has the copper overlay with the micarta overlay. It is a steel liner lock. Now, the feeling of it, because of the copper, it does add a little, I don't know about a little, but it adds some extra weight. And it feels really good. I actually like it. Now, it's not overwhelming because sometimes copper's heavy. But in this case, it adds, in my opinion, a great weight to the blade. It's not light. It feels tough, and I like that. But it's not too crazy to where I'm like, man, this thing is heavy. It's not like that. But it feels solid, and I like that. Now, when we look at the blade, we're going to get into sharpening this M390 blade steel. But getting into the ergos, very comfortable in the hand. It does have not a teardrop, but it's thinner here, it gets thicker here, and then back to thinner, which winds up being very comfortable. Now, where I really like it is, since it's a thumb stud knife, I can take advantage of this flat spot right there that works so good, whether you're push cutting or even just slicing. I can separate my fingers. It's very comfortable in the hand, either in pinch grip, even in the reverse grip. This is nice and comfortable. So as a work knife, I've been working with this thing for weeks, loving it. And it works really good. Now, if we get into cutting, before we get into the action, the geometry is really nice on this. It cuts really, really good. I'm very impressed with its cutting performance. It's not a laser beam. No, it's not. But it's that happy medium where you're going to get good cutting performance, a tough edge, nice and thin behind the grind, but not too thick in the stock. So it's a great EDC knife, and the blade with the handle, it makes sense. It makes sense. You get a lot of leverage into your cuts. You get good cutting performance. Depending on where I measured on the blade, I was getting between about 15, 16, 17 thousandths behind the edge, which is really good considering that this is not a full flat, but it's almost. It does have a pretty tall flat grind. So yeah, cuts really good. And the straight part back here makes it to where the leverage in your cuts, it pushes back into you and distributes the pressure right across your hand. So with push cuts, like I said, the pressure is pushed across your hand, where you don't have any spots that are pushing extra hard, in one area and not another. It distributes the pressure evenly across your palm, and it makes for great cutting. Now, the utility cuts, you can see what type of blade it is. Sheep's foot blade. Yes, it does utility cuts great. It has a nice acute tip to where, no, it's not going to be a type of knife that you can puncture into things, but for regular utility cuts, opening things up, draw cuts, anything like that, it works great. So opening packages, cutting something out, cutting tape, anything like that, it works so good. So, and you also, the grips, like I said before, your grips, you have so many grips, it works out. Now, you'll notice with this, like, since it's straight back here, you have this little tiny teardrop, or, it lowers down right there. Now, that you know, it's not something that's going to be the most comfortable pushing this into your palm, but it's not bad at all. And I mostly go right over the top and kind of let it just lay right there when I do it. So it doesn't feel like a sway back at all, but you can definitely feel that it is straight, you know, if that makes sense, which in my opinion works out great for the utility type of cuts. Now, getting into the action, the detent is well tuned. You have not a strong detent, not a light detent. It's great for the thumb studs. The thumb studs are nice and grippy, and I like that they're separated from the scale. They don't rise above the scale too much, and it makes it to where you're not going to snag nothing pulling it out of your pocket. However, since they have so much room, you have great placement for your thumb or reverse flick. So, you know, once you get it in hand, it's just natural. Your thumb lands right in a good spot to flick it. Now, the access to the lock bar is nice and big, nice and comfortable, and it is so smooth. You can reverse flick it very easily, like I said. And the drop on it, it is very false shutty. Now, this does not have those little holes for you to drip the oil down into, or because when they're taking their pivots, and I think people were misunderstanding what I was saying about Kizer's new pivot system. What I'm saying is that where they're cutting out the bearing track is pushed as far as they can to this side, to the end of the blade, which means all the weight is distributed towards the blade end. Then they polish the surface. Then on some models, they are cutting out a spot right here. You see those little cutouts where you can drip oil, clean it, whatever. Of course, you can drip oil down in those things. You can see that, right? You could do that even if they weren't there. However, it makes it to where there's less steel back there, which takes off more weight, meaning there's more front heavy, or there's more weight towards the front of the blade. So when you unlock it, it's ready to drop. And because the track is polished and very smooth on ceramic bearings, it makes it very easy to drop and close this knife. And also, I think it helps with the opening too, because the weight of the blade, you kind of just barely flick and it just takes over. Now, this one doesn't have those little cutouts for you to drip oil down, which is also going to take away a little bit more weight down here. However, it's still incredibly smooth. I can tell it still has all the other features aside from that. So very easy to slow roll, very easy to reverse flick. If it's nice, I like the action. And like I said, the access to the lock bar, it's amazing. Nice and centered. And the clip and carry. Clip and carry, great. I love this clip. It works so good. I'm not a big fan of it being polished like this. I do wish that, we'll talk about the bad here in a second, but it's inset, flat screws, nothing in the way. The ramp is great. It works so good, but you do have to go from the inside to take it off, and it is not reversible. I do wish they would have made it reversible for lefties, because it is a thumb stud knife, so thumb stud liner lock knives usually work out pretty good for lefties, but in this case, you know, you're going to have to carry it with the pocket clip on this side. Not that big of a deal, and it's a great clip that works so good. Let's get into the steel, because M390 from Kizer at this price point, I know a lot of people are questioning, how's the heat treat? So I've tested two, well, one in 20 CV and one in M390 from their recent batches. So I've obviously sharpened many more, but I'm talking about of recent from this price category. So putting this one on the stone, right? I've already done a video on this one, and I'll kind of talk about both of them, but putting this one specifically on the stone, as soon as it went on the stone, the steel felt great. You know, it felt amazing. I had no issue sharpening it. It sharpened incredibly fast, incredibly easy. Now, some people, for some reason, I don't think they understand, because they think that if it's done well, it's going to be harder to sharpen. No, no, no. If it's done well, it will be easier to sharpen. Especially if you're using diamonds, and I'm using venev diamond stones when I sharpen this. Because think about sharpening if you have a stick and it's wet and you're trying to sharpen it. If it's wet, it's going to be soft, right? If it's nice and hard, and dry, it's going to be easier to sharpen. Or think about clay, right? If I give you some Play-Doh or something, or some clay, trying to sharpen it while it's soft, it's not going to happen. But when it's nice and hard, it's going to be easier to sharpen. And in this case, it felt incredible on the stone. It polished up really good, and it took a nasty sharp edge. And the grind was relatively even on both sides. It was a little from right here on the choil, which they have a beautiful plunge grind, by the way. Beautiful. This is how a plunge grind should be done. They started it here, ended it here. They gave you all of this life right here to sharpen all the way from the edge to here to remove steel. Very nice sharpening choil. Now, it was slightly thinner on this side right here at the heel. It's even on this side all the way up to the tip. But, that is such nitpicking. It's like 90% even, right? So I'm happy with it. It sharpened up great. It was easy to keep an angle. I didn't have to spend a lot of time on it. It went very fast. It felt great. Now, can I confirm that it's going to get optimal edge retention? No, I cannot. It felt fine to me. I didn't even need to sharpen this one. I did sharpen it. My edge was still fine, from stropping and honing. It was still living just fine, or going just fine. But, until somebody does a controlled cut test like Outpost 76 or Citric or something, I can't confirm that it's going to get, optimal edge retention. However, I can say that it feels good on the stone, sharpens good on stone, takes a great polish. I would guess that it's got a decent heat treat and that the HRC is decent on it. I would guess that. Possibly even good, right? Or great. However, until that testing comes out, I can't confirm that, right? My testing is all different kinds of things for my edge retention. It's not controlled. So I might think or feel like I'm getting great edge retention. However, I'm cutting different things. So from my experience, I did get good edge retention. From my experience, the sharpening went great. And all I can do is go off of my experience from my example. And like I said, I had good results from the 20 CV as well. Possibly even better from the M390, but, I did this a few weeks ago, so, I don't want to confirm that. And, it did take a great polish, the 20 CV and everything, and it sharpened up really good. Everything went great with that one as well. But like I said, I can't really speak on the edge retention yet, but it felt good. And like I said, I felt like I was getting good edge retention from it, from my testing. But, without a control testing, it's hard to say. Now, let's get into some bad, and then let's talk about modifying this thing into beauty. It already is beautiful, but let's talk about patinaing this copper after this. And I will do a longer video in detail explaining how to do the copper patina. This I'm going to go through pretty quickly. Now, the bad things on this. One thing, like I said, it would have been nice for a lefty to have it. And I'm nitpicking, guys. I am nitpicking like crazy. T6s, I don't like T6s. Just do T8s, especially a knife like this. Man, that would have put it to another level if it just had T6 or T8s. It has a T8 pivot, but T6 is down here. Ooh, I'm hitting the camera, guys. Sorry. T6 is down here. I want T8s. That would just take it over the top. Next thing, I'm never a big fan of the shiny polished liners. It just looks cheap to me. It's something I expect on a cheap budget knife, these shiny liners. Stonewash it, etch it, Do something with it so that it's not reflective and shiny. It just makes, like, we have a stone washing here, right? The contrast is off. Now it is hidden by everything, and you know, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't hurt any function. It's really not bad. It's my opinion. So I'm not really saying that this is a bad thing. I'm just saying I would have appreciated that. Next thing, this billboarding right here, Deviant. I like the sheepdog logo. I don't mind the Deviant there. I would just sort of liked it to be small, maybe down here. Just, you know, it's just big and bold right there. It's not bad, to be honest. It's not bad. It's just, you know, it's such plain font. It's such a beautiful knife, right? To just put some plain font right there. I would rather see it smaller, hidden somewhere, something like that. You know, I don't mind this. This is their logo. I don't mind the M390. I don't mind the sheepdog. Just that one spot with Deviant. But man, guys, I'll be honest. I'm crazy nitpicking. I can't come up with any honest, real bad. I mean, it's rock solid. The action is so smooth. It's so, the detent is great. Ergos are great. It cuts good. It carries great. It's a great tool. It is a great tool. It sharpens good. It literally clicks every category of a good functional tool, in my opinion. But you know what would have been really awesome? A hole. A reverse flicking hole. That, or an oval hole, like not like just a circle, but like an oval or something, or some type of... I like the thumb studs. Don't get me wrong. Thumb studs are great. But man, a 2.0 version with a hole, think about it. Wouldn't that be amazing? I know that thing would sell fast, like hotcakes. But let's get into this copper patina. All right, here I'm just showing you the flashlight that I'm also going to do the chemical reaction on. You can see the reds around it and everything. But this is what it looked like from just a natural patina. Obviously, it would keep getting darker over time. So for this specific way, you need a container that closes, paper towels, ammonia, rock salt. This just happens to be kosher salt, but rock salt. So this is my polishing kit for my Dremel. You don't have to do this part, but it can help brighten up the copper. And here I am polishing the surface. I only polished the knife parts. I did not do the flashlight, so you'll be able to see the difference at the end. But polish it up really nice. And you could just wipe it down really good and just clean the surface really good. But I kind of wanted a little bit more brighter copper to pop out on the knife parts. But you take the paper towels, put them at the bottom of the container. Kind of fluff them up just a little bit. It really doesn't matter because you're going to soak it in the ammonia. And then, you know, just put the bottom right here. I'm only doing one side of the knife parts. So, but if you're doing two sides, then you're going to put the ammonia on the paper towel, put the parts in, and then soak some more paper towel and lay it over the top of the parts you're putting in the container. Obviously, you need a container that is a good size for your parts. But you see here, I'm soaking the paper towel. And then right after I soak the paper towel, I'm going to sprinkle some of the rock salt on top of it. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be a lot. It does, you know, not a little, just, you know, a nice little even amount in there of rock salt. You see me here, I'm sprinkling it in there. And it is that easy. You just sprinkle some right in there, bam. And then you just gently lay the parts on the surface. Here, I am going to use a glove because I don't want to put oils, my finger skin oils on the copper. I don't know how it would affect it. So just to be safe, I wiped it down and made sure I had a glove on when I, you know, after cleaning it. And then here it is 4 hours later. So this is 4 hours later for the knife parts. The flashlight I wound up leaving for 6 hours, and I'm not going to show me doing it or anything, but you'll see it at the end. I did the exact same thing. The only difference was I actually put paper towel and salt over the top of the flashlight because I wanted to do the complete surface. So here they are, and let's check them out. All right, so here we go. We got... I also did my flashlight. Now I haven't sealed it yet. So after sealing it, it will have a little bit more of a shine to it. And I didn't want to make this one too much blue because, you know, like if you look right here, you see kind of the greenish. It really matches the micarta. But you know, if I do end up wanting a little bit more of this bright blue color, I can always put it back in and then seal it after that. Once I seal it, though, I'm not going to be able to do that. So this one, I added more blue. And I haven't sealed this yet either. This is steel. It just is copper colored, so I couldn't do the clip. But it looks gorgeous. Now, the flashlight took about 5 hours altogether. 4 or 5 hours. About 5 hours. This was about, you know what, this was probably about 4 hours. This was probably 6 hours. Maybe, give or take, you know. But I say anywhere between 4 and 6 hours, you're going to get, you know, this, you're going to get blue, you know, pretty quickly. It's just how thick and how bright it is, because if you look at how thick and bright those colors are, and they don't wipe off. You know, I washed both of these, so both of these have been washed and everything. There's hardly no texture, but once I seal it, there's not going to be any smell to it, which is also going to be really cool. But so like I said, I will seal it later. Like I said, I might throw this one in for just another hour or so, bring out a little bit more blue in it. This side looks really good. Both sides look good. Kara looked at it. She really likes these copper stripes. That's just from the paper towels. But there you guys go. Yeah. Peace.